So I was off to a flyer, and then I missed a couple of chances on 7 and 9, but I was out in 7 under par, and then started the back 9 well, which are good chances, 10, 11 and 12, birdied all 3, and I'm 10 under par through 12, so in terms of shooting 59, around a course which you think you could have done it on, couldn't have been a better chance. Yeah. And from after 12, obviously the cameras were on me. It was just a matter of making sure I stayed in the present and making sure I was in control of what I was doing and what I was thinking, and noticing what was going on around me rather than thinking I'm in my own head and losing stuff. So I'm quite proud of the way that I've done that, and quite proud of the way.
Quite a test for you, isn't it?
It was a test, and that's what I thought of it. When I was out, this is a test, right? How am I going to try and cope with this? What am I going to think of? Think of me little thing in my head that I think about when do whatever, and thankfully I did it. Ollie fish on a good day, I don't know, 66, 65? I don't know.
What's your lowest round before 59?
62. Yeah, lowest round on tour before that was 62, so I think, you know what, that Friday in Portugal was a bit of a special round, obviously, but all in all, I would have said the thing that I'm most proud of, above anything else, was kind of being 10 under through 12 and having the 15th and 17th coming up, which were obvious birdie holes for that course, and we know that course is a pretty low scoring week anyway on tour. But just the way that I kind of stayed in the present, the cameras are out, people were watching. I could rely on my caddy, rely on stuff that I'd done before in the past around that course, whether it be keeping my card there a couple of years beforehand, which I felt was more pressure. So it was a great round, and something I'm pretty proud of now. The fact that I hung in there, even in the 59, I hung in there, coming down the last few holes and hitting a few good swings coming down. It was certainly more proud of the fact that I'd done that. I think all of us guys know that when someone gets hot, every hole's a birdie chance at the end of the day. Different courses suit different people, and there's different opportunities every week. But playing the Portugal Masters, feeling like a couple of years beforehand, I could go back to what I felt then, sit there on sort of 15, 16, 17, 18, having already done it before, which, that round back in 2016, I sort of replayed in my head before I did it on the Saturday before. And, I said to myself, funny thing was, back in 2016, I said to myself, I'm going to stand on the 12th tee, which is a par 5, walk all down the left, and the camera's going to be there because I'm going to be 4 under par through 8. I'm going to birdie 9 or 10 or 11, and I'm going to be 5 under par, and a few off the lead, and the cameras are going to be out on that hole, and I hate that tee shot. Walk all down the left, you got to hit a pretty good drive, and it's one that if you can get a drive away, it gives you a good opportunity of a birdie. And then there were. I was 5 under through 10 or 12 or through 11, and the cameras were on the 12th tee, so I expected it. And on Friday, in Portugal this year, I sort of woke up Friday morning and I thought, or Thursday night, went to bed knowing I need to shoot 4 or 5 under par to make the cut. Thinking, I'm going to stand on 15 tee this week because I'm either side of the draw to the cameras, and it's Friday, so the TV cameras aren't necessarily out on the half of the draw that I was playing. But I felt like I needed to be 5 under par before 15 to give myself a chance of making the cut or having a good week, which is kind of what you think as pros. How am I going to push myself from being in 80th position after round 1 to give myself a chance going into the weekend? And then little did I know I was 10 under par through 12, so it was a strange day, but no, it was a great day. I practiced terrible in Portugal. I played on Tuesday, didn't play too bad, but felt like I was struggling a little bit with my swing. Practiced on Wednesday, hit my irons good, got to the driver, hit a few right, and I was like, went and sat down with my coach, my dad, and said, what am I going to do this week to play? Played from Thursday, shot level par, laying in 100 position, and then go and shoot 59. So, I don't know, am I one of those guys that needs to practice well? I don't think, no I am. I think what the thing I can take from them weeks is saying, how did I deal with the problems that come up during the week? Was I clear in my mind about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve? Yes. And then when I got myself in a situation, was I able to handle that little bit more anxiety or pressure or build up or hype from people watching? So yes, so like everything that came at me on that day, I didn't win the tournament in the end, or shoot an amazing round on the weekend, which I handled it pretty well on Saturday, struggled a little bit on Sunday, but all in all it was a good week after my few weeks beforehand. But the biggest thing for me is making sure that when you make a decision, you make it with in the right frame of mind, and you don't make it because of it's a reaction to something else. I think maturity comes into it a little bit with me. Like you said earlier, I've been at it since I was a young kid, and I was built up to do stuff as a young kid or whatever else. But I think golf's a real game that you need to take your time. You've got 5 hours out there, or on the range we can spend 5 minutes chatting before each shot. So there's a whole load of time thoughts can come in and out of our heads to get on and do something. So I mean, making sure that whatever you do, when you look back and you've done it, you go, well, I gave myself the best chance. And on that Friday in Portugal, I said to my caddy on 16, let's throw this hole away. I hit a poor shot into the green, made a great par putt. Let's just go and enjoy these last 2 holes and give ourselves the best chance at shooting 59. We're not going to get it very often, so you might as well enjoy it. At least give it a good crack rather than steering them down the fairway or feeling like I've got to kind of hang on to something. Which if I think looking at it now, what I said then was a sign of maturity, but also a sign of saying, well, I noticed what was going on, whether or not that's age, whether that's maturity, whether it's just saying, well, I'm noticing what's happening in my mind. It's something of relaxation or meditation or whatever it may be. Just noticing how your breath is, how your body's reacting is a really important thing. I think when we come out here and start warming up, the most important thing is just striking it. So making sure that my setup's good, I'm doing the simple things well, balance, just the real obvious things that we all talk about in golf. So yeah, like with me, I have my own swing thoughts, which I'm always working on. I drop my height a little bit towards the top of the backswing, so I'm always working on my setup, not getting the ball too far back, get myself leaning a bit this way. We just played in the wind last week at the Dunhill Links, so standing here today, I'm just conscious of making sure that my setup's, I feel a little bit more this way rather than I'm a bit here because I've been in the wind. And then just rhythm and time. So I've used Mizuno clubs since the middle of last year. I think I changed to a set of, I think I had a split set of like 3. I've always used the MMC fly higher, and then I've used the 4, 5, 6 maybe of the split cavity. Then I used the blades further down. Then I changed to a set of split cavities, and now I use a set of blades. So I've used these blades I think since maybe February, March time. The reason for that is just doing a bit of testing at Bearwood with Al, making sure that what I'm using is forgiving enough, but also I'm getting the right feel out of it. And the blades, I think when we tested them about, they were going the right distance as far as I wanted them to go. And it takes a little bit of work, some loft stuff, but the clubs now all go to where we'd like them to go number wise. When you feel like you've got confidence in something or something's performed well, you're reluctant to change. I think. Now the other thing is, us guys, we need to change a little bit. There's different courses that come up, and there's weather variables and different things. So I've got a 2-iron in the bag or a 5-wood. What am I going to use, or a different wedge, or what am I seeing in my 6-iron? My 6-iron's or my 9-iron stalling in the wind a bit. Why is that? What's going on? And speaking to guys like Matt and Alex on the truck, it's really important for us to do a bit of work on the track, man, figuring out what the ball's doing, and then making the necessary adjustments to then go out in a tournament and then perform with confidence. I feel like that's sorted, rather than going, is it going the right distance? Is it not? What can I do? Because sometimes they can be perfect, and it's just something that's going on out the course with your swing or something. But having the van here and the opportunity to go to Bearwood and test, and that is it's good because it covers all bases, and then you can go and play with the most confidence. So it's an important thing to have, not only looking down but and enjoying the way your clubs look, but knowing that the team behind them have got your back as well. I think with regard to equipment and testing stuff, is you've got to test. I don't know, it's like testing apples for apples, if you like. You can't. It's so easy for us pros to get a new set of clubs, a new set of shafts, a new ball, a new driver, and then suddenly like we're testing a set of clubs that we've literally got no idea about what we're using or what we're feeding. So it's really important to use if you're testing shafts, test them in the same heads as what you've been using. If you're testing heads, test them in the same shafts you've been using. So, and then you can create a little bit of a database around your feels and find out what actually works for you and what you prefer the feel of. No, I feel like I walked on a van in middle of 2017 and saw a players' clubs. He had a brand new set of MP18s waiting for him on the van there at the Scottish Open last year, and I was like, "Oh, is there any chance I can get a set of these?" Having not been a Mizuno player, and he said, "No problem at all. We'll make you set up." So, from that moment, and having luckily that I could use Mizuno then, and it got me in them. I'm lucky that I'm a pro and I can clubs are at the ready for me, but I'm not someone to change an awful amount. I think what goes on the golf course is the most important thing. Grips are important. Making sure the grips feel nice in your hands. That's the most important thing when you're looking down at something. It looks great, but does it feel good? If it feels good and looks great, well, I've got a more chance of hitting the right shot. If the grip feels a bit slippery, I'm not enjoying it. Well, yeah, I'm not feeling great from the off. So there's a lot of things that really change. But I wouldn't say I'm a massive changer of clubs. I think I've been in these all year, and I'm not really. I've had a set of the JP X 919s made up, and would like to use them, but I've not really got the time to kind of test them at the moment and feel like. Obviously I've shot a decent round a couple of weeks ago, so I feel like there's no reason to change at the moment to find something much better. The clubs are going where I want them to go. They're going the distances that I want them to do. Me and my caddy are happy with them. I've got a few things I'm working on with my technique, so really I don't want to add another variable in that. I change my wedges, I'd say every 3 months. Probably say I have 4 sets of wedges a year. Yeah, I mean, obviously the lob wedge is a little bit more of a, you want to feel like if the greens are soft, don't want to change to a brand new lob wedge that week. If the rough's thick, you might need to get your grooves really sharp around the greens, but generally probably 4 times a year.